Howdy guys, this is Horrible Doodles. We're going to take a departure from the normal daily doodle to talk about some art techniques. This is a new series I'm doing to refine my own basic set of skills and hopefully help some new artists along the way. Well, let's get straight to the point and talk about stippling. What is stippling? When it comes to art, stippling is the creation of a pattern simulating varying degrees of solidity or shading by using small dots of the same pigment. You'll often hear people use the term pointillism, which is similar, but pointillism uses multiple colors of dots to create the entire picture. But enough Wikipedia, let's dig in. So, when should you use stippling? Multiple shading techniques exist, but few offer the amount of texture that stippling applies. Stippling is an illusion created by a large amount of dots. This forces the brain to fill in the gaps and make the art itself look textured or touchable. You can almost feel the texture in the work. Not only are you creating depth with the shading, but creating a region of chaos that more closely resembles nature. You'll find a lot of science textbooks use stippling in the illustrations for that reason. Stippling is also useful to accentuate a particular part of your art. A lot of tattoo artists will use stippling around the border of a clean line to make the central art pop out. Light stippling can also be useful to put a little detail into the background, but not draw too much attention. A few dots placed randomly and far apart can do wonders for an otherwise blank background. In this same vein, light stippling can make an object appear dirty, which is great if that's your intent. Let's talk a little bit about the time and effort. Stippling is time consuming. For regions entirely shaded by dots, you can spend many hours. It will be tempting to get sloppy with the dots, which can ruin the effect. Take your time, plan for the long haul. If you are not a patient person, stippling can be frustrating. On the other hand, lots of people find it therapeutic. Mindlessly tapping away can be very relaxing. There are multiple approaches when it comes to laying down the dots. The angle of the pen or pencil will affect the shape of the dot, as well as the pressure you place. Lifting of the pen is just as important. As I said earlier, if you get rushed, sometimes you'll lift the pen and create a tiny swoosh on the paper. That is no bueno. From what I've seen, there's basically two types of patterns. There's the neat and the chaos. Adding a little chaos to the way you place the dots gives the region a fuzzier look. This is good for biological or other natural surfaces. You see this approach in the science textbooks I mentioned earlier. With the neat or organized approach, you place the dots perfectly spaced, giving the surface a very clean or smooth appearance. I've seen this applied really well on sci-fi pictures where they want a nice glossy surface. Dot sizes. So dot sizes can be used in multiple ways. You can use the same size dot and just space them out more or less depending on the amount of shading you want. Or you can use multiple size dots to break up the texture a bit. Either way, the more you space out your dots, the lighter the region will appear. And that's of course assuming you're using dark pigment on light paper. The opposite can be applied with dark paper and light pigment to give the opposite effect. There are many fine examples of art that only use stippling, with no additional line work applied, but that doesn't mean you can't mix it up. I find a well-placed line along a dark segment of dots really pulls it in. Same goes for a bold line around a sparsely dotted region. Experimentation is fun. Don't worry about the purists out there. You can do whatever you want with your art. And that finally brings us to materials. You can stipple with anything. Pens, pencils, markers, paint. The list goes on. Just be mindful of the tips of your materials, as stippling can put a lot more wear on your equipment than normal brush strokes. In summary, stippling is a time-consuming affair, but the payoff can be huge. A lot of people appreciate the time and effort alone. Give it a whirl sometime and see what you think. If you like this video, please subscribe and leave some feedback. Also check out some of my other videos. I'll be placing my stippling playlist up in the corner. Thank you!